I thought I'd just stop it so I wouldn't run out of time. But we're back and getting back into the discussion about the 2013 season, but a lot of stuff. I mean, this year, I believe will be, Gov believes will be a comeback year for Jeff Burton. I don't believe he'll be a comeback year, but I believe it'll be a much better season. Expect maybe him to win a race, and I think he'll get around, 9 or 10 top 5s, maybe like 15, 16 top 10s, and maybe make the chase. I'm not sure, maybe he finishes like 13th in points, just misses out, or maybe he just makes it in and finishes 12th. But still, either way, 12th or 13th in points is a good year for Jeff Burton, considering the last 3 or 4 years. A 12th or 13th place finish in the points would be good. I mean, really would be good, to be honest.
My top 5 picks for the championship, which are predictions, are Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah, I believe Jimmie Johnson, isn't going to do as well as last season. I still think Jimmie Johnson is going to be good. I think he'll definitely adapt to the G6 car very well. He seems to adapt to the new cars that they bring out very well. Of course, you saw it with the car tomorrow in 2007. We saw it with all the Hendrick stable in 2007. I mean, Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson dominating the whole season, and ended up being a battle between them for the championship, and we all know what happened at the end. And Hendrick won. I remember at one point they won all the COT races. I think it was like maybe the first 5, they won like all of them. And I think they won half the races that season. Mostly it was Jeff and Jimmie. Jimmie winning 10, Jeff winning 6. I mean, and then also he got 2 wins.
Kyle Busch
Casey Mears, Kyle Busch. Yeah, Kyle Busch won the first ever COT race. A lot of people forget that. And now it's, who's going to win the first ever G6 race? So maybe, Kyle Busch wins that race too. That'd be pretty funny, winning the first COT race and the first G6 race. And we all remember after Kyle Busch won at Bristol, he always said, "I'm still not a fan of these things. They suck." Pretty much saying NASCAR, I don't, like what you're doing. And I think they talked to him about that, saying, "Hey, man, we don't want you bad-mouthing us." I'm like, NASCAR's pretty selfish. They don't really like people talking crap about them. You gotta take some crap sometimes, and I know, but you don't gotta penalize somebody if they're just saying a little bit bad things about you. This is why NASCAR is kind of losing a lot of respect from its fans. I mean, Brian France, I think, should be shot. He's terrible. Terrible CEO, probably the worst ever. I mean, Bill France Jr. and Bill France Sr. were the founding fathers of this sport, and they are the best ever at what they did. Brian France, Bill France Jr.'s son, sucks ass. I mean, he sucks more than Kim Kardashian. Okay?
Being shot is a little too extreme.
Well, Brian France should be, he should be tortured, okay? He deserves to get beaten up, okay?
Okay.
He is one of the worst I think I've ever seen. He really just screwed up all NASCAR with Chase. I mean, really. The Chase has really screwed over NASCAR. If we didn't have a Chase, we would have different champions, I think, every single season. That would be pretty weird. We wouldn't have any back-to-back title guys. We'd have a different champion every single year if there was no Chase, which would make it much more fun to watch. But of course, Brian France makes the Chase, and then of course we see Jimmie Johnson win 5 consecutive championships in probably the most boring span of the sports era. I mean, really, the most boring span of the era was definitely, I think, 2006 or 2010, with Jimmie Johnson winning the championship each year.
Yes.
But it was also the most boring span, I think, ever. I mean, really, it was the most boring thing I think anybody has ever seen. I mean,
then again, it's amazing.
It's crazy how he won 5 straight, but it's annoying because I know a lot of people were very mad, including me. I hated Jimmie Johnson through those years. I really didn't care in 2006, but 2007 was really when I just hated him because he just became an idiot to me. I mean, he's really a dick to me. But now he's not. I don't really care for Johnson. I don't hate Johnson anymore, but I don't love him either. It's like, I don't hate him, but I don't love him. So you really can't find a word to describe it. But
domination can happen in any sport.
And the sleeper pick for the championship I have for this season, I would say Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won 2 straight nationwide championships. He was a star in the nationwide series. He could definitely perform in the Cup Series. Maybe see a win or 2 from him. It'll be surprising if he won 2 races, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got his first career win this season. If there was Iowa, if Iowa was in the Cup Series, he would obviously be the favorite. He dominated Iowa in the nationwide series. He was by far the best at Iowa in the nationwide series. I mean, just unbelievable.
Actually, Derek, about the 2 championships from Ricky Stenhouse, if you look back, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won 2 championships in 1998 and 1999, but he doesn't have one yet. And as for Martin Truex Jr., same amount, but only 1 career win so far.
Oh yes, that was actually a very good point.
So we don't know how Ricky Stenhouse is going to do.
I think Ricky Stenhouse is going to be that one that does do well in Cup. I think he, at the end, I know a lot of people said Junior's going to win a championship by the time his career is over, when he was a young kid, because everybody thought he had such great talent and he was going to definitely win a bunch of championships. He's going to be just like his father. But I think that Ricky, Junior's net to win the championship, and I don't think he will. I'm not trying to be a hater of Junior, but I just don't think Junior has it in him to win a championship. If he wins a championship, he'll probably make it to the Hall of Fame, 1, considering his popularity, and 2, getting a championship, which really does boost you, But I think Dale Jr. has the drive. I think he finally has the motivation to go out and win a championship. I mean, he had 2 very bad years, 2009, 2010, probably the 2 worst years of his career. And he came back from that in 2011 and almost won 2 races, but he couldn't get those races won. And still had a great year, made the chase, and then came back the next season. Last season, one of the best years of Dale Jr.'s career. I mean, he only won 1 race, but he was very consistent. I mean, he was really consistent, and he was a championship contender for most of the season. He even led the points for a few races. And a lot of people thought Junior can definitely win the championship this year, and I thought he could too, but he just wasn't able to, because it seems like Junior gets to the chase, and his concussion really seemed to distract him, and he didn't want to tell anybody, because then they were going to take him out of the car. And also, Junior seems to never really do well in the chase. And, the only time I think I can recall him doing well in the chase was 2004, and 2006, I guess you could say. 2004, he won 2 races, Talladega and Phoenix. And 2006, he just was consistent. I mean, he should have won Talladega, but let me just not get into that. But I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr. A lot of people thought in 2008 was going to be very good, and he wasn't that great. He was kind of a disappointment, to be honest. He was consistent the whole season. He did win a race. It really was only by fuel mileage. And a lot of people thought maybe he was going to win like 4 or 5 races. And then, of course, 2009, 2010, 2 of the worst years of his career. He said he was really, losing the drive to go for a win, win races and go for championships. He was really losing the motivation. And I think that really did help him. 2011 kind of was a bounce-back year. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible, and he was able to make the chase by that season. And, 2 12th-place points finishes the last 2 years, but last season most likely should have been a championship at least, or should have had a shot. I think Junior really can win one, but it's going to be really hard. He's going to have to get a lot of wins if he wants to win a championship. And I'm not saying like 2 or 3. I'm saying he's going to have to win like 4 or 5 to win the championship, because nowadays you got to win a lot of races with this point system. You got to win races to win the championship. And that's what Keselowski did, winning 5 races, and Johnson as well. And then in 2011, of course, Stewart winning 5, and Edwards only won 1. That's why he lost the title. And then, that was really, I think the main thing is you got to win races to win championship now. With this point system, it really rewards the winner, and it doesn't really reward the guy that finishes 2nd or 3rd. What do you think?
I'm still disappointed about Carl Edwards losing the championship in 2011 and Jimmie Johnson in 2012.
Yes, Jimmie Johnson, Jimmie Johnson had one of the best years, I think, of his career. He did have 6 DNFs, but, you know,